Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast, Bring It On, and I'm very lucky today because I got my good friend, from Florida now, Mr. Steve Dischiavi. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, Dom. How you doing, buddy?
Very, very good. It's fun because we did a podcast once live, in New York, but it was almost impossible to hear with all the noise and the people screaming.
Yeah, it was a little nutty that day, but we had fun, though.
Oh, my goodness, we did. And, that's the thing. When you're live, in front of people, there's an excitement that can be recreated by phone, that's for sure, because you get all those people and you can see their reaction. And that's probably the reason why, even though you're so busy, you love going to those events, right, to meet your fans and be able to talk to them face to face.
Yeah, I love interacting with the fans of the show, especially when I'm on the street, I run into fans, and I stop, take photos with them, I'll bullshit with them for a while, and then there's nothing more exciting and interesting than everyday people. People think, that the Kardashians are the people you want. No, that's not the people you want to meet. You want to meet everyday people. Those are the fun people.
You're right, and that's one thing I realized about you, that I was like, okay, whenever I post a picture on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, a lot of people but when I post a picture of you or a picture from Lake George or whatever, there's so much tweets and retweets and comments and everything. And I realized, pretty quickly, the reason why is that, like I said before the podcast, the big difference between you and a lot of people is that you really interact with your fans, not only on Twitter, but I can see pictures you post, on Facebook of people you meet, during your investigations everywhere, like last night in Macon, Georgia, right? And you're an everyday guy, and very, very down to earth, and that's the reason why people love you, Steve.
Well, what it was, those guys I met down in Macon, we were just hanging out by the pool. I was having a cigar, and they were like, "Well, what are you doing in town?" I said, "I'm doing a TV show." So really? I'm like, "Yeah." So we started, talking, and then I said, the guy asked me if I would take a photo with them. I said, "Of course." I said, "As a matter of fact, let me take a photo with my camera so I can post you guys." And the one guy got all excited. He called his wife. He said, "Look at this guy's on TV. And he took a photo with me." And I don't think anything of it. I don't think it's a big deal. But I guess I've never been the guy that was got excited by people in television. So it's hard for me to comprehend why people would get excited to meet me. So I'm a little bit like, why are you excited to meet me? I'm a guy that happens to be on TV. I'm not George Clooney, who I don't think is a big deal anyway. I think the people you should look up to are the ones fighting in the trenches overseas. Those are the guys you look up to.
Exactly, Steve. But that's the thing, people see people on television, and 90% of the time when you meet those people in real life, they either avoid you, or they're really like, okay, where's your piece of paper so I can sign an autograph, or they take a picture, and you can see in their face, because facial expression to me, and especially you being a former police detective, you know the I don't give a damn look when you see people's face, right?
Yeah. There's no interest in their look when they're taking a picture with. And I was in a thankless job for 22 years on the NYPD, so for me, when people are thanking me for what I do now and they're happy to meet me, I'm like, look, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, who wouldn't love to be and have a job where people actually like you?
But they really changed, since September 11th, because now going to New York, and just this summer I was there with the kids, and I was walking, in Times Square, and there were two policemen, standing there, watching in front of the big thing where people can walk in the middle of the street.
Right.
And I asked them if I could have a picture of them with the kids, and after that I said, "Can I have a picture too?" I said, "Oh, of course, brother." And those guys are very genuine, very good guys, and I told them, I respect your work.
The cops are very different than most of the rest of the country. I mean, I've been parts of the country where I've asked to take pictures with other cops, and they're like, "No, I can't do that." I'm like, "Are you kidding me, guy? It's a big friggin' deal. Just take a photo." It's, New York City cops are much different breed of character than I think the rest of the country when it comes to. Although the big cities like New Orleans, like we're about an hour outside New Orleans right now. Those cops are great. I always had a good time with them, and they're used to taking pictures with tourists, so to speak. But I'm glad to hear that you had a good interaction, though.
That's great, and that's the thing, because that's such a big part of your show. The fact that, like we said in the podcast, in Lake George, you don't consider yourself a paranormal investigator, but you are but you consider yourself, but you are a real life investigator. And since I started watching the show, I realized that, the more interaction you're going to have, whether it's with live people or dead people, is that when you show respect. And the way you do the interviews, even when you interview people and even when you have doubt, the respect, you're always respectful of the people you interview, and you're always respectful of, anything that can come up with people you meet on the street. And the show it would be different if you were out there, probably already having an idea of what's going on. So you really let the investigation lead the way, because like you said before, you're not a big believer that you're going to get all the information on Twitter or on Google, or, the interview makes all all the difference in the world for you.
Well, my job is to read people, and, that's what I did. That was what I was good at, getting confessions and getting witnesses to open up and tell about what they saw. Anybody can go on a computer and do research. Anybody can go to a library and ask a historian, can you help me out and try to find some information on this? Anybody can do that. Getting information out of people and seeing if they're being truthful, and, that takes a little bit of a skill set. So that's the only thing I bring to the table. Anybody could be a researcher. I just now, it's like doing a homicide investigation. I just do a different investigation now. So...
exactly, because
I don't ghost hunt though. I mean, I get Facebook messages and every day, Steve, what does it mean when there's a dark shadow? I don't know. I love my fans, but don't ask me, paranormal questions. I don't have an answer for you. If you want to know how to research your house, I'll help you out. If you want to, know websites to go to for research, I can help you out there. But please don't ask me what do I do when I see an orb in my room. I don't know.
Exactly.
I'll answer them back very politely. Listen, that's an Amy question. Contact her. Maybe she can help you out. I just, I don't want to mislead people, letting them think that I have answers to paranormal questions. Because I would never, ever. The same way Amy would never answer a question on how to do an investigation on my end, I would never do the same thing on her end.
Exactly, and that what's make the show so unique. That's what makes the show so unique, is that the way you do it. You go out there, and she goes out there on different days, and she doesn't have a clue where she is. Right? You even told me that she doesn't know the city where you're not even staying at the same hotel in the same city that you're investigating. Right? Right.
In other words, we landed in New Orleans yesterday, right? But we drove 45 minutes north from there. So where we're staying, that's not even where we may be. Our investigation could be another 40 minutes from where we're the hotel. You know what I mean? So where we land and where we stay still really has nothing to do with where the investigation is going to be. So, and she doesn't even know what airport she's going to till she gets to the airport and gets her ticket.
Which is incredible, and that's
it's amazing.
And that's incredible. I already had a question yesterday, on Twitter from Laurie Kittle asking you, Steve, if one time it happened to you during the walkthrough with the client that you felt something paranormal, or that you felt something you were like, oh my God, could it be paranormal? Has it happened to you once during all those years?
No.
Not yet?
Nothing. I mean, people ask me, I got a question from a fan today about, aren't you afraid when you go into these locations? Have you ever been so afraid that you want to leave? I'm like, no. I mean, I've been shot at. I've been, there's a lot of things that happen to me that have to do with the living. So, nobody dead ever tried to kill me. Let's put it that way. And I've been almost killed more than my fair share. So, so when I get questions like that, and I understand where it comes from, I'm like, people, do you have any idea what my background is? Why would I be scared of a location?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't get creeped out by this stuff. And first of all, I'm not there for me. I'm there for the client.
Exactly.
So I don't worry about what I'm feeling. I'm worried about what these people are going through. We just did a location where this poor girl was getting, she was a 21-year-old kid that was just getting touched and pulled and manhandled every day. And it was really starting to piss me off. But I couldn't show that, and I'm not worried about, oh my God, I hope this, whatever she doesn't do that to me. No, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the client. So when I get asked those questions, I don't get annoyed. Really, this stuff doesn't bother me.
Exactly.
Like we did the Santa Fe prison in New Mexico. I walked to that prison for 2 hours by myself with a flashlight. and I didn't do it because I wanted a paranormal experience. There's a brutal crime scene there back in 1981, and I was basically looking at it as a giant crime scene instead of a paranormal thing.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't go through a location looking for, a ghost or looking for something to move. I'm looking at it like a crime scene.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly how we should do the investigation also, because if you already go there, thinking there's something or thinking there's nothing, that you already have, something in your mind, which is always going to lead you one way or another. If you go to a lazy board and say, oh my God, this is going to be active, every creak, in the floor, or every time, a car passes in front of a window and you see a shadow, you're going to be like, oh my God, look at this. No,
you make a good point, Dom, and that's why I respect what you do, because you're not blaming everything on the paranormal. You know what I mean? Like, when I walk into a house and people tell me 10 things that happened, all right, maybe 5 of them are legit. The other 5, they're just blaming on the paranormal, because once one thing paranormal happens to you, then, the light went out. Well, the light's bad. It went out. It's not paranormal. You just have a bad light. A lot of things can be explained, but I guess once you have one paranormal experience, you blame everything on the paranormal, which is what you got to have a fine line. When I'm doing my interviews, people see the looks on my faces. You'll know when I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, definitely, because you. Oh my God, you're so funny, and yeah, you're right. But at the same time, you're still respectful, and you're still, sometimes, like I was having a podcast with Ben Hansen about 2 weeks ago, and Ben, does a lot of UFO cases, and of course, when you have cases including UFOs, sometimes you're going out there and you talk to the client, and you're like, oh my God, the guy is full of crap, but he's still able to keep his game face on, and sometimes it's hard.
It's not easy. That's from years of experience of dealing with witnesses of actual, crimes. That's the experience I bring to the table is I'm, dealing with people. I mean, for 22 years, I dealt with people on a daily basis, asking them questions. And not just when I was a detective. When you're a uniform cop, you do the same thing. So from day one, you learn that experience of how to read people and how to, how to judge if they're being truthful or not. But then again, I grew up in Brooklyn, and growing up on the streets of Brooklyn kind of prepares you a little bit better for people than, if you grew up in the middle of nowhere and your only interaction is with who you went to school with.
Yeah, exactly. And you remember Mark, right, from Lake George? Mark Arvilla from
yeah, he's constantly breaking my balls on. He sends me text messages saying funny things to me. Yeah, I love Mark.
Such a great time. He was able to celebrate your birthday. That was awesome. I missed it.
Let me tell you, that was. I usually don't celebrate my birthday. I don't really care about it. But those guys, John Tobin and his girlfriend Kathy and everybody, they made me feel like I was a rock star. I mean, they were really nice. We had a good time. I was hurt the next day, too.
Yeah.
I might add, I was hurt the next day.
And, remember the tweet, I remember a lot of things I shouldn't remember, but that's okay, We had a great time. And, we still have that picture, with the Perihor T-shirt you wore, during the event, which was awesome,
Yeah, I didn't even realize when it set up the shirt until I pulled it up. I'm like, oh man, did I just do that?
And after that, with social media these days, it's going to follow you for the rest of your career, right?
Oh, I know. I mean, I made the mistake of taking a picture of myself in a bathtub, taking a bubble bath. And the funny part was, when somebody Googled my name the other day, I look, and that's one of the photos that comes up. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, the picture I took it, but Mark also. So it's been out there, and every time I tweet it, there must be like hundreds of retweets all the time. So imagine, the picture's probably going to become your profile picture on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing some of the photos from the next day after my birthday when we were all hanging around in the backyard there by the hotel, and I'm like, I looked like I just went 10 rounds with Tyson. I was a mess because I was just hungover and. Oh man, I hope these pictures don't get out. Sure as shit, they all, they showed up everywhere.
Oh my goodness! And Mark's saying, that you're one of the most stand-up guys you'll ever meet, and believe that's for sure. I totally agree with Mark. And he also asked you, Steve. And it's true, you know, from everybody who's ever met you, you know, people that know me or just people that I tweet with, and, you know, they're like, oh my God, you know, because there's a lot of interest in your work, since probably one of the only people that really interact with your fans on Twitter and on Facebook, which is amazing, because a lot of people will only favorite or retweet or not even care, you know, and follow back. You know, I remember about, you know, I have to share this story because it's very special. You know, about a week and a half ago, this lady coming on Twitter, and she's like, oh my God, you know, it's my birthday today. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life, and my favorite show is The Dead Files, and it would mean a lot if Steve could follow me back. So I just, you know, I was about to send you a message on Facebook. I just retweeted what she said. And before I could send you the message, you know, and that's a true story, the first thing I knew, she was tweeting me back, oh my God, Steve is following me, because you saw the retweet with you in it. And she sent me a direct message that just broke my heart. You know, she was crying. She was really emotional about it. And she was like, oh my God, my favorite television personality is following me now. And it means a lot. Thank you very much. And I was totally, I sent you the message. I said, thanks, Steve. I don't know if you realize how much it means for all those people that you follow back or that you interact with. But, you know, you made somebody's day, and you made her a great birthday, and for that I want to thank you, because not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. You know, and I don't go by what other people on television do. I mean, I don't charge to take a photo with me. I don't charge for a photo and an autograph. You know, I can't do that. It's not my nature. Whatever people do, that's up to them. I've never followed a personality on TV, so I don't know what it's supposed to be. So I don't know if other TV personalities follow their fans or not, or interact. I feel if a fan's going to take the time to actually write a comment or tweet something, or whatever the hell it's called, and take their time out of their life to do that, you should be respectful enough to take time out of your time and be respectful and answer back, or at least like the comment, which means you read it. I mean, I don't just go down the line. You'll look at my post. If I don't like the comment, I'm not going to like it. But I read everybody's posts when I can. And I do that in between, like when we're setting up for different shots for when I'm doing my, you know, filming. I'll take that time to go on Facebook and Twitter and look at comments and read them and like them. So for me, it's just giving back to fans that take the time to acknowledge what I'm doing and acknowledge that they appreciate the show. So that's just me. I can't be. I can't ignore what other people, you know, fans. I can't do it. So
that's amazing, because, you know, at lower level, that's what I also try to do. You know, that whenever somebody takes a minute to tweet me back or like a picture, you know, I always try to read or answer back, because I'm like, without people on Twitter, if it was me, only me on Twitter, there would be no point, you know, and nobody answered or liked, or looked at what I posted. Why would I post it? So that's very, makes you feel like, you know, it's our family, you know, they're not with us in real time, but they're there. And, you know, a lot of people really care. And there's a lot of good stuff. You know, I've always said, if you use social media the right way, you're never going to have any problems. There's always certain situations that you can't control and you can't avoid, but there's a lot of good people out there, and it's fun to be able to talk with those people.
Yeah, I mean, I always comment on how much I love my fans and the Dead File fans, because to me, they're the most loyal fans on the planet. We have no advertising whatsoever done for us. And our show is basically organically promoted. One person tells another person, and that's how we've become so popular. The ratings are through the roof for our show, which I thank the fans for that. That has nothing to do with me or Amy. That has to do with the fans. So I thank them. I hope they're listening. So fans to me are the number one priority, as well as my clients, obviously, that we're doing the cases for. I know it's a TV show, but I take it as a case. You know,
exactly.
You know what I mean? They call it an episode with the crew and everything, and I say, you know, we're going to a case in such and such location. So that's how I look. I don't look at this like I'm doing a television show. I look at it like I'm helping somebody.
And that's what you're doing, and that's a good thing out of it, is that you're really helping people out, and you know that a good question from Glenn on Twitter, Glenn Williams, a good friend of mine and a great investigator, and he's been a big fan of yours for a long time, and he's asking you, Steve, how did you get involved with Death Files, and what was your first impression of Amy the first time you met her?
Well, I get that question a lot, and I'll try to give you guys the short answer because I know we're in a time constraint. ABC News did a documentary on the NYPD when I was a detective. They did a 7-part series called NYPD 24/7. I was the featured detective on the first episode that featured the homicide squad. They followed us for like 18 months with cameras, and then it aired in 2004. So the creator of the Death Files, this guy Jim Casey, was a great guy and a dear friend of mine. He had pitched a TV show to an executive of one of the television channels, like A&E or Discovery, one of those channels, and it was about a PI. So the executive in the network said, "Well, I just saw this guy on television in a documentary for ABC News. Ask him if he wants to do TV. That's the guy you should use for this project you're looking at doing." Long story longer, I get a phone call from Hollywood. I think it's all bull, and I hang up the phone a few times. It turns out it was legit. And Jim asked me if I was interested in doing television. So I'm like, I was working. I had retired. I don't even remember where I was working at the time. And I said, yeah, all right, whatever. I'll give it a shot. So I flew out and did a couple of pilots with him that had nothing to do with the Death Files. And all the networks turned them down, saying I was too New York for TV. So then he approached me with the Death Files, and I said, I'm not doing paranormal. So you're out of your mind. He says, you know, all I got is my integrity and my reputation. I'm not going to go around with a flashlight and say, oh, did you see that? You know, that's not me. I didn't really know much about the paranormal world at all as far as investigations go. And he said, do me a favor, fly out to Denver, meet Amy, and there were some other mediums there as well. And we did a thing called, what they call now, the Lost Episode, which is not a Lost Episode. It's the first thing we just filmed together. It was the first case we did. And she blew me away with the information she got, and I knew she didn't have any of this stuff. You know, I made it clear I didn't want I didn't want anybody to know this information. And she hit up on stuff that one of the investigators who worked on the double homicide knew, but was nowhere on any kind of paperwork. So there's no way she knew this information. And I knew the detective that I spoke to said he never talked to her. So when she got hits like that, I was like, wow, this girl's incredible. And, you know, I know it's a long answer right now, but that's how I basically, once I saw what she was capable of and we filmed it the way the concept was, I said, well, I'm in. And then, you know, I get a phone call a year later, the Travel Channel's interested in the show, and I'm like, who? The Travel Channel. So, you know, and that's it. And then 78 episodes later, we're still here.
Exactly. Yeah, because you know you're shooting so much episodes. You know, it's not like just 5 or 6 episodes a season. It's like, my God, 12, 13 episodes every season, and some revisits. You know, that we don't physically do, but we you know, there's a crew out there doing the revisit episodes. That's incredible, and the show is still going strong, and you're still filming as of right now. You know, you're still filming a lot of new shows that are about to come up in 2014, 2015, and I think the show is not going away because the concept is different, and I think that as long as people will, you know, keep, I don't think you can run out of situations like that. You know, it's not. And I wouldn't say compare it to when you go into asylums and to very creepy buildings. After a while, you know, you've been there. You know, how many different asylums can you do before it gets like, okay, I've seen it, you know.
You know, a lot of fans come on my Facebook and they say, oh, Steve, you guys should go to such and such location, or you should go to this prison, or, you know. And my attitude is, thank you, I appreciate you thinking about that, but we're not here to get our jollies off on going to a location like that. I'm here to help living people. So for us to go to a location, like, we'll only do that on a special episode, but even when we do, we always have somebody that has a stake in it, that has some kind of a reason for us to be there to help them out. So I appreciate the fans telling us we should go to this location, that location, but my job is to help the living. Amy's job is to help the dead and then help the living at the same time.
Exactly.
So for the fans, I appreciate you guys suggesting these locations, but other than maybe somebody taking a visit there, there's no reason for us to go to those locations.
Exactly, and we had Haley asking you, does it blow your mind when Amy reveals something you discovered already? And I'm sure it does, because even to this day, you might be like, oh my goodness, because most of the time, what you found and what she found really corroborates with each other, and that's, what blows also my mind every time I watch a show. I'm like, oh my God, of course there's a few times, that things are not exactly the same, but a lot of times, you must be asking yourself, my goodness, she really has a gift.
Oh, yeah, I mean, without a doubt. And I think once I start becoming complacent and expecting her to know this stuff, that's when it'll be a problem. But it's still, to this day, I'm still like, Jesus Christ, how did she get that? And then when I explain some of the history to her, it starts making more sense to her, and then it just corroborates it even more. I mean, we're never 100%, and we don't claim to be. And Amy will be the first one to tell you that no one psychic knows everything.
Exactly.
So, our show's about as legit as it gets. I mean, we don't talk to each other at all during the investigation. We really, no interaction, and we try to keep it that way because for the integrity of the case, obviously. There are some certain circumstances where a few episodes I had to ask her to do a second walk or ask her to interview a kid or something like that, but it's kind of rare.
It's true. Also, I have Mark asking you, Steve, out of all the cities, because you've been everywhere around the United States, and what is your favorite city you've been in? Not investigating, but I mean visiting.
Well, New Orleans is one of my favorite locations, and San Francisco is another one. Those are the two. I had done an interview with Jet Magazine and Jet Setter Magazine, and they asked me the same questions. Yeah, I'd say San Francisco and New Orleans are probably two of my favorite cities to visit. But I love the South, and I love the Pacific Northwest as well.
And since you moved to Florida, you're driving in front of Savannah. Have you ever stopped and visit Savannah?
I have not. Everybody asks me if I've been there, it's supposedly haunted. I appreciate the fans telling me, oh, you should go to the place that's haunted. I really don't. I'm not interested in anything haunted, especially when I'm not working. I'm really not interested whatsoever in visiting haunted locations. For me, if it's got a beach and a palm tree and a bar, I'm happy.
But you know what? That's exactly, we went there, late March, and we were going investigating with my friends from Georgia, Shane Pittman, and as we're going there, I'm totally focused on the places we're going to go investigate, like Fort Pulaski or the Moon River Brewery. But I didn't realize until I got there that this is the most beautiful city I've ever seen in my life, even more beautiful than Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I was blown away by the beauty, the Spanish moss trees hanging from the trees. And I was like, oh my God, if I ever had to move somewhere, this would be here in Savannah.
Yeah, I tell you, I'd like to take a look at it because I moved to Florida for a few personal reasons, and the other was to get out of New York winters. I can't take the winters anymore. But I don't know where my life's going to take me once the show ends, but I'd consider looking to move to someplace like that. Not all the way back to New York, obviously, but half back, as they call New Yorkers that live in that part of the country. They go to Florida, and instead of going home, they go halfway back up to Georgia or the Carolinas.
Oh my God! Yeah, and the temperature is great, and Savannah gets a little bit hot during the summer. But if you don't care about the heat, we were there in March and it was already very hot, very very hot, and
as long as it's not 27 inches of snow every 2 weeks, then I'm. And I know you get a lot of snow where you're at. You're used to the winter.
Oh, you do. And, that's one thing, before the podcast, I had a lot of people, sending me, YouTube videos about Brooklynicism, Brooklyn slang. And I was looking at it, during the week, trying to, it just doesn't work for me, because, French, accent and Brooklyn accent, that's funny. A lot of people listening to the podcast right now are telling me on Twitter that they love the matching accents.
It's funny because a lot of networks turned our show, other shows we were going to do down because they didn't like my New York accent. So I'm glad the fans. I get a lot of feedback on Facebook about how much they enjoy my New York accent, And I don't think I have an accent, honestly. I think everybody else does.
You just stole my next head. That's the live podcast we did. That was the first thing you told me. Everybody else does, and it's true. That's what I tell people now. When they tell me I have an accent, I'm like, no, I don't. Everybody else does. So I stole a line from you, Steve. Copyright infringement right now.
The crew has a lot of fun with me, and I'll say stuff that obviously they'll edit out of the show, but I'll say things like not for nothing, and that's like a Brooklyn term, and my producers and the crew get a kick out of that. Why? I don't know. Or I'll say forget about it. Those little things that I'm so used to saying growing up that people get a kick out of, but I still don't understand why.
Exactly.
I guess to them it's funny, so. And I'll say use every once in a while. It'll pop out of my mouth, and the producer will ask me, Steve, can you say that again? Because you got to use out there real quick. I'm like, that like, use guys got a problem
here. That forget about it, or the to describe Manhattan, the city.
I mean, the person I am on TV, obviously I'm serious, but I'm just a regular person, so I don't, people accuse me of being an actor when I first started doing the show, and they didn't believe I was a cop at any time or anything like that, but I am who I am on the show. Nothing changes. I'm just very serious about what I'm doing, but I'm a lot of fun to be around. We have a lot of laughs when I'm hanging out.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that part of me came out on TV, so when I meet people on the street and I smile and I laugh and we're joking, they're like, wow, I didn't think you ever smiled. I'm like, yeah, I know. The show just, the show just depicts this serious guy all the time, and I am serious when I'm doing my investigations. I just, there's another part of me that's much more down to earth and more, I'm fun loving. I've seen too much tragedy in the world and in life I don't take life too serious. I think everybody should take life's too short and should have some fun. Yeah,
you're right. And we have, my friend Chantal Medium, from Kansas, listening to the podcast. Yeah. Right? You know her?
Yeah, I chat with Chantal on private messages once in a while. She's really good.
Oh my God, she is. And you know what? I can share it right now because, I've had our team, Spooks Paranormal with Rick Park and Nate, and a very great team. And I've had them on my podcast a few times. And how they met, they were doing a live investigation. And Rick was sitting in a room by himself and he saw something. And Chantal because they were doing it live, and she told him what he saw. And there was it was not film, it was something he saw. And she told him right away, and he was totally blown away, kind of like what Amy does. And she has a gift, and I think that it would be incredible to team Chantal and Amy at one point, during one of the episodes, because she's a very gifted, psychic, and a very cool person to boot. A good friend of mine who's been. I think she was the first follower I had on Twitter back in the day. So.
Oh really? Yeah. We talk every once in a while. She's a sweetheart, and I always try to, people tell me, oh, if you're ever in the area, let me know so we can stop and say. That's basically why I let people know where I'm at, so that if they are in the area and I have a few minutes, I'll stop and meet somebody for a cup of coffee, or if I have the time, because to me, fans are the greatest thing ever. I mean, without the fans, there's nothing. So I try to give as much back to my fans as I can. And then I reach out to people in your community, the paranormal investigator community. They reach out to me as well. But what I love about the people that do reach out to me, they're very respectful of my not wanting to get into that whole paranormal investigating thing. They reach out more like, we love what you do, and we really need to do research on locations we're investigating. Can you tell us how to do that? And, and I'll throw, and I'll give them some hints on how to do it and some links they can look at. So I just want to thank them as well for not trying to, force me to be a paranormal investigator. They're very respectful of that.
Exactly, because you're always very honest about what you do and what you're setting your goals to be. You're out there, investigating, and that's a good thing about it, is because every paranormal team could use a guy like you on their team, right? To do the digging.
I would think so. So to. I have no interest at all in having an experience. I have no interest at all in seeing something or hearing something. I really, honestly, 100%, I could care less. I love investigating. I love doing interviews. I love learning more information about a location. You know, that to me is what I love. So if you get somebody like that on a team that's not looking to have an experience or looking to find out what kind of spiritual things are happening, I think every paranormal team should have somebody like that. They can help out with the investigation, not on the paranormal side, but on the investigative history side.
Exactly. And the good thing about you is that, okay, you're not looking for the paranormal side, but, you know, you're not trying to debunk everything. You're not trying to be like, well, I don't believe in it or whatever. You know, you're very respectful of the fact that a lot of people, you know, claim to see stuff and they experience paranormal activity. And, you know, this is not where your goal is, not to either live a paranormal experience or whatever, but you're not hiding away from it, or you're not, you know, running away from it at the same time, which is...
No, people say to me, "Oh, you must believe in ghosts and MPOs because you're so empathetic towards the client." I says, that doesn't necessarily mean I believe in spirits or the paranormal. It means I'm trying to be empathetic towards the client. I look at our clients as if they were a witness to a crime. They saw something that was horrible, and now I need them to tell me what they saw. Whether I believe what they saw, but in my opinion, 99% of our clients do believe that what they're telling me is what they saw. And we vet very well. I mean, if somebody tells me, you know, we get a lot of people putting requests. I just want to know who's in my house. We don't have a problem. We're not going to investigate a place like that. You know what I mean? We're going to investigate a place where people are getting physically touched. You know, to me, and children and elderly people are the big things for me. Kids or elderly people being affected, especially physically. That's something we're going to jump on. And you know, we have like 8,000 requests for us to come to their homes or businesses. We only do 26 episodes a year, so it's kind of hard to filter out which ones you're going to do. And you know, we don't have the final say. Travel Channel has the final say on where we go, but they're Travel Channel is very helpful in in assisting what we think we should be doing. You know, which case we should be going to. And I want to thank David Gerber, who's the executive producer from the Travel Channel. He believed in our show from the beginning, and he still does, and he's the reason we're still on the air. And I just want to publicly thank him again because he's a great guy.
I totally agree, Steve. And got a lot of people asking you now about certain episodes of the show. And, you know, I haven't seen them all, but, you know, I've tried to watch them all, but a few evaded me. And today I was looking back at one of the, what I think turns out to be one of my favorite ones, and it's in Villisca, Iowa, you know, the famous axe murder house. And tell me more about your experience there, because, you know, to me, first of all, you go there. Did you have any preconceived idea about what other TV shows have found, or, you know, the activity that happened there and all the claims, or you went out there, like you said, always, you know, trying to find evidence and stuff like that?
Right. I knew about this place, but I wanted to go out cold. I didn't look into any paranormal shows that went there. I didn't look into any police shows that may have gone there. I wanted to go out there cold and get the facts from experts that know the case through and, you know, in and out. I didn't want to go out there with any kind of preconceived idea. My opinion going in when I heard about how it was done, I was thinking it was a lone killer and some type of a serial killer. But me and Amy disagreed on it, and I'm going to stick to my guns on this because I've done over 2,000 homicide investigations. In my opinion, it was one person who did it, and I'm pretty sure the guy that they originally liked for it is the guy that did the homicide. But I really enjoyed digging into that case. The sad part is the people that were murdered apparently were the ones there, as well as probably the guy that did it. So Amy really was able to, you know, help out the guy that worked there and lived right across the street from the place to let him know this is what's going on. But I enjoyed doing that case. And my favorite case to this day, as far as, and I don't base it on clients, I base it on like the location. For me, because I love all the clients, the Santa Fe, New Mexico prison. To me, was still one of my favorite cases to investigate.
Oh my goodness. And just the fact that it's in Santa Fe, New Mexico, my second favorite city in the U.S. after Savannah. It's such a beautiful city, and you feel the history there, right? With the, Native Americans.
It's very southwest. Let's put it that way. And, I hadn't spent much time in the southwest, and, we were all, the altitude was getting to us there while we were working, but, it was still a great city to hang out in. I mean, it's a small city, which was nice. It wasn't this hectic, crazy New York City type thing, and people were really friendly, and the food was great. Sunsets were amazing. I mean, it's just a great part of the country.
Yeah, you're right, because I remember Santa Fe every year when I went there, for about 15 years, every year I would go to the Southwest before I had the kids, and I'm about to start doing it because they're getting older now, but I love the burritos, the breakfast, in New Mexico and Texas are just amazing.
Yeah. You get breakfast there. We were taking pictures of the breakfast skillets we would get. That's how awesome they were. It's just incredible.
Hey, Steve, we have to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back for the last part of the show. There's about 20 minutes left, and don't go away. Come back in 2 minutes, and me and Steve will be back.